Hi everyone, welcome back to Space Engineers. So this is episode 4, I think, of my Just Play series, and today we're going to have a look at this drone. So I had to do some research because, as you could tell from the last video, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and I watched a couple of really good helpful videos. I'm going to put a message somewhere on the screen. It's from somebody called AliceDoesThings, and they very clearly go through how the blocks work and how to get a docking drone working, and I've actually been able to get this one to work now with the help of their video, so thank you very much, Alice. Really appreciate it. I'm just here getting some more cobalt because I want to look at making that vehicle shortly. Okay, so we're just gonna head home. I've got quite a full inventory, as you can tell. Oh, actually, what I'm gonna do is I will show you the automation that I've got set up. So if I go to the recorder, wait 1 second, AI behavior on. There we go. So I've really got it set to a limit of 25 meters a second. So you know what? Actually, let's increase that a little bit. Let's put that to 50. I think I'm going to make the drone slightly bigger, and I'm going to improve on the docking area because having just a stick poking out of the landing pad isn't exactly a nice design choice. Okay, so we're just coming into the base. I've done a little bit of work around it and I'll quickly show you that in a second, but I just want to make sure that this drone does what it needs to do. So it's slowing down, which is good. So it's going to hit a few waypoints before it lines up with the connector. A couple of things that I've taken from those videos is, number one, when you're actually connecting to the connector, turn off the magnetic setting, disable it, because you need to get as close to that connector as you can during your recording of the waypoints, because it doesn't account for the strength of the magnet. Second, it makes a little bit more sense for you to create your own waypoints rather than use the recording. So there's a couple of settings in the recording, and you can set how often it makes waypoints. The more waypoints that it has, the slower it's going to be, because it needs to get to each one, especially if you've got precision mode turned on. It has to make sure that the block hits that waypoint. But as you can see, we're just about to turn. All being well, it should connect to the connector. There we go, we are within range, and it should lock, and then the thruster should turn off. Boom. Okay. What that has is, once it gets to that final waypoint, there is a timer block that is triggered with a delay of a few seconds, and then that timer block then turns off the thrusters and the connector. Rather than having it on the waypoint, it just allows the ship or the connector a little bit of time to align up. Obviously, it didn't do a very good job here. It's not exactly aligned, but it's connected. That's all I'm bothered about. I think the only other thing I would do to improve this bit, which I don't think was mentioned in that video, but I'm not quite remembering it very well, is I would probably put an event controller on here, or another one, specifically for the connector. So when the connector is connected, then that triggered off the thrusters. Because at the moment it's just tower lock going da-da-da-da-da-da. But if by any chance this connector does not connect, those thrusters are still going to turn off, and this is just going to take, well, the quickest route to the floor. So that's something that I think I would probably do. What is that? An assert bison, I don't know. But yeah, so let me quickly show you around what I've done. So I've added these like spotlight towers here, just to give it a little bit more light, especially at night. I've also gone around and I've welded up underneath here, so that's just nice and sealed now. And then I also added these kind of spikes or slopes or whatever you want to call them just around the side, just so it wasn't flat. I wasn't sure whether it was a bit much, and it probably is, but it's fine. I've also added these railings around the outside, so a little bit of, you know, health and safety. But yeah, I'm quite happy with this. It needs a bit of colour. Not decided what colours I'm going to go with yet. I might try brown and blue. Not sure if those two colours contrast each other enough, but yeah. What I've also done is I've also welded all the stairs, so now I can go in here. Also, I've got the doors functional. All of the catwalks in here are also welded now, so it looks a little bit more complete, even though it's not finished. I also changed this because I'm not, even though I like that this gives you an extra block space to build, I don't like this. It just doesn't look right. Just there where my wall is pointing. The actual railings aren't connected to anything, or at least it doesn't look like they're connected to anything. So what I did was I've added these in, and I think they just give it, well, it just looks a little bit more structurally sound. Unfortunately, I can't do it here. I can't do it over here because these catwalks are in the way. But I'm just going to try and ignore and live with that. But yeah, so that's inside here. I also created this through route. So obviously, you already have this on the refinery anyway. But then I've just done this as another way round, so I can get back down here. So that's that. A couple more doors. Whoops. Let's close those. Don't let all the cold in. Added some stairs because what had happened while I was welding was I'd run out of hydrogen and I couldn't reach the door. And then I had to go to use the survival kit, and it's just slow. And then I've also welded up this tower. I've added a couple of flashing lights to it. Got this as close as I can without it causing any kind of issue. So I think that just gives it a slightly nicer finish. But yeah, that's where we are at the moment. I haven't resized the drill yet. I'm not going to do that on camera. I'm going to do that off camera because that would be a big job. So we've got this drone, but I think I want to redesign it. I want to have an actual docking area rather than this. This is going to be a building / landing pad here. So this is where we'll build like our first drone, and then we've got this connected here for cargo access, but also it can be used later on to maybe dock a ship if we get a ship. Well, we're obviously going to get a ship because we're not getting to the alien planet without one, but it needs to be bigger than this. So I want to recreate this drone. I think it needs to be bigger, but with bigger means I can also put a bit more cargo space in it, as long as it's got the thrust capability. I also need to take into consideration it needs more than one battery. The more batteries I can get on it, the better. I can't go with reactors because we don't have uranium or a way of getting uranium easily. So I'm just going to clear this out because I'm not going to weld these up. This won't be staying here. Decided. I don't like just a big pole sticking out. And then we'll need to figure out where we're going to dock it. So it makes sense for it to be over here somewhere because we've already got conveyor access underneath here. I kind of wanted a garage, but I don't think that's going to be on this side. I think that was going to be on this side somewhere. The original plan was for it to be over here, but obviously that's kind of taken over a little bit. So we'll worry about the docking once we've got our drone set up, once we know how much space it needs. So let's go for light armor again. We're going to want a landing gear. We're going to want cargo. I'm going to stay with medium. I could go large cargo, but it just makes the ship very bulky and I don't want that. Batteries. Whoops. Actually, that's the point. Let's have a quick look at the thruster. Does it tell me how much? No, it doesn't. Just build planner. Not build planner. Can I get any information about the thruster? Because I can get information about the battery and how much it can output. Let's have a look. So the max usage is 200 kilowatts. The battery can output 4 megawatts. So if that max output is 4 megawatts, but one of those thrusters is 200 kilowatts, then that means that that battery should be able to do 5 of those. Now, obviously, we've got 4 of those, and then everything else on here. So we are way over. But I know that comfortably one battery will do 4 of these. So we'd have to have a look at the rest of the thrusters and see how much power they use. I mean, are they all the same? We go back into here, go to thruster, max users, 600. Long story short, just use enough batteries and we'll be fine. So, I'm going to start with the landing gear. Oh, something else as well that I learned from that video was it's quite important to put any of the blocks that I'm helping this move, they should be center of mass. Apparently, according to that Alice Does Things video. But that's got USB ports. So that's something to try and take into consideration. I think we can turn the center of mass info on, can't we? Center of mass. Oh, center of mass is there, look. Okay, so basically they are way off. But that's fine. There we go, we've got this. So if we add more blocks to this, oh yeah, it changes where the center of mass is. Like, oh, I like that. Okay. So, what is my plan? Well, my plan is to put those back. And to also go get some materials. How much cobalt did we get, actually? Oh, quite a lot. So yeah, we've got on that front. So, if we go for some steel plates. Put you in there, put you in there. Right. Steel plates, please. There's material plates, girders, construction pumps. Okay, I'm just going to turn that one off. Okay, I'm going to turn off the center of mass actually. We will turn it back on later. Okay, so I want a bit of a long profile. So let's bring this all the way across here. So if I go connector, and ignore the length of this, I'm just playing it, it probably won't stay this long. So we've got our connector. I'm going to get that welded up. Okay, so if I go for a converter, we'll convert that from a large port to a small port. I do like having the cargo over here. Okay, and then we'll go for our medium containers. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. And yes, I'm going to put the connector underneath instead as well, just because it'll help remove the issue of if the connector doesn't connect in time, it just dropping somewhere. At least if it drops, it'll be over where it needs to be. So I'm going to go for 1 more there. So we've got plenty of cargo, so that is not going to be an issue. So let's get these welded. Oh, actually, I've already done a boo-boo. If I'm going to be putting my AI blocks in the middle, center of mass, then I need to do this differently. Ideally, well, I've done that the wrong way anyway, so let's get rid of that. Let me just put a connection in there for a second. I can just connect this up to here, and that'll connect up to there. So if we go for, well, we could just cheat out, give it something that's got a little bit more strength than just a conveyor. I put that there, and then I also put one here as well. So that means, no, you numpty. Let's put you there instead. Okay, so that means I can then put the cargo container on top of that, but I don't need this one. Which also means I've got all that space, so I've got I've got 27 blocks here to play with, and then the center of mass. If I try and make this symmetrical, then we know where the center of mass is going to be. So if I was to turn it on at the moment, it would probably be somewhere here, because it will be taking these into consideration. But the center of mass currently is probably somewhere like here, either that block or that block. So we'll work with this. So next we need batteries. So I'm going to put the batteries on the side because there's no cargo access there anyway, so we should be okay. Let's just rotate this, make it look half decent. With the amount of cargo it's going to be holding, I'm just going to go overkill on the batteries. Like this, the amount of batteries I'm putting on this will probably actually not be required. I was going to say it's going to drain the base, but it absolutely will drain the base. So if we just do 4 batteries, let's get those welded up. Okay, so plenty of power output now. Have I done those batteries right? Ugh, that went the wrong way. I'm going to ignore it. You won't see it. So now we want to add thrusters to this. So I'm going to put some blocks, not there. I'm just going to put some blocks here. There will be something else there. I've not quite decided what yet though. And then do the same on the back. So get those welded. Okay, so if we go for a star and go for the large one, we don't need the connector. Right, one there, one there.
Energy critical.
One there, one there. Okay, and then I'm going to need to put another thruster in there somewhere. But what we'll do is we'll bring this out. Actually, let's make that a sloped block. These will definitely have more anchor points on them. I won't be leaving it like this because that is not secure at all. And then we go for a thruster there and a thruster there. Okay. You know what it kind of reminds me of? There's a fish in Subnautica that's kind of got like these discs. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit. I might try and find out what that's called and then use that for the name instead of dragonfly. Okay, so we've got our thrusters, and let's get those welded. Okay, let's just get these armor blocks welded. Okay, so yeah, it's coming together nicely. So we've got our up thrust, but now we need our down thrust. So what we will do is we will still use these, even though they've got a massive power requirement, but we will... Oh, maybe we won't. They've got such a big power requirement, we don't even need the down thrust. It just has to be there for the automation to work. So maybe I'll just go for these. Yeah, I could put them on the side of these here. So that's our downward thrust. So we now need left, right, forward and backward thrust. So I think I am going to use the normal thrusters, or I say normal, the older thrusters for my forward. I just don't know where I'm going to put it. Yeah, I guess it just makes sense for it to go here. Or do I want them to... Yeah, we'll stick them out one. Why not? So we seem to have naturally picked that that's going to be the back, which is fine. Although I guess it doesn't matter. I mean, this can be the back if it wanted to. We're still completely symmetrical. So we want to get the thrusters on the front slash back. So we've got up, down, forward, backward. We now just need left and right. So it's not going to be travelling left and right that often. It's good because it's going to be automated. It's going to do a lot of turning rather than strafing. So we don't need much thrust. It just needs to be able to balance itself. That's all. So I don't know. I guess there makes some sense. So if I was to put like that in. Oops, that's not right. Do this on all sides. And get them welded so I don't forget about them. Okay, and then we'll just go for 2. Because the automation does have a setting where you can tell it how much it's allowed to pitch. So if I put those numbers quite low, it should never be in a situation where it has to use these to keep itself supported. Hopefully anyway. But let's get all of these thrusters welded. Okay, so we've got thrust in all 6 directions now. Next important thing, I could fit additional batteries in there. Yeah, of course it is. Maybe. So if we do that, battery number 6. Okay, we should hopefully have plenty of power output on this now. Next, I need some
energy low
gyroscopes, and I want the gyroscopes to be relatively protected. So we've obviously got the 27 blocks in there, but I'm going to try and save that for as much automation stuff as we need to make this fly nicely. So I'm not putting anything there, so I could just put some gyros along the top. It doesn't really matter too much. Maybe I'll go... We don't need that many. I don't think. Let's put them into this and the center of the batteries, because we're still going for an even weight. Nothing here is not symmetrical yet, so center of mass is still in the middle. Okay, so now we've got our gyros. So we're going to need an antenna. We'll put the antenna inside there. So we've got the antenna, and we're going to need to pop something else in here. So what we're going to want is grid automation. So we're going to want a move block. So I'm going to put you in the middle. Yeah, let me get in. Okay, so if we have a look at that, I don't think there's going to be a need to have more than one of these. No, I think we'll be okay. So that's just going to control the entire ship. So that's the move block. Then we're going to want... You know what? Let's slap a couple of timers in here. You know what? Let's go for 3 timers. 4 timers. There we go. So we'll just remember that we've got 4 timers in there. For whatever we need. So we're going to want a recorder task. So because, if I recall, because it's going to be going from one place to another place, and then from that place and back again, we're going to want 2 AI recorders. And we want these to be in the middle there. Okay, they are oriented this right way, so that's fine. And then what else have we got? Offensive, defensive. We've got that. We're going to want basic task. So what I'm going to do, let's get rid of that. Let's put our basic task there. Oh, are we going to want 2 of these? Does this one not have an orientation either? So this one doesn't actually matter. It will matter, I think. We're going to want 2 of those, aren't we? So let's put another one here. Basic task. Definitely doesn't have a front and back. It's got arrows pointing to the front, but yeah. So we've got a couple of basic tasks. I want to put those timer blocks back in. So I need more bits. So timer. Can I? Yeah, I can use that. That's fine. Okay. It's not going to hurt. So let's just get some more. Okay. Now I want some event controllers. So I'm going to go for a fair few of these. So I'm going to go 2, 1 on either side. And at this point, I've got no idea what I'm going to be doing with most of this, but at least I know I have the option. Okay, right. Do we have anything else that we're going to need to put in there? Rats. We are going to need a remote control block. Okay, 1 moment. Let's get rid of that basic task. Let's get rid of that timer. Let's put the remote control there. Get the basic task back out. Okay, so we forfeited a timer, but we've got loads of timers in there. What else do we need? Okay, so I don't think we've got anything automation-wise that we need to put in here. So, one thing I guess I want to do is, I want to test this. I want to test it can fly first before we do anything else to it. So we're going to dock it over here. So let's get a connector. Pop you on the top. Okay, so all your thrusters are on. So in theory, I should be able to disconnect this. I've got gyros, I've got power, I've got thrust in all directions, got the remote control, got the antenna. So that should be enough. I do need to figure out the name. Whoops. So we'll call this one for now. All being well, I should be able to disconnect. Yes. Okay. So it's got enough for us to hold itself up. But they're going quite a lot quicker. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to get this thing docked. So if I go Shift K, Control. Oh, look at that go. Okay, so we know it flies, which is good. I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. So I'm going to just let that settle. And then we're going to go to I, Control Panel, Connector. And we're going to lock. And then the batteries, let's put them onto recharge. So that's recharging itself. So that, we know it flies, and it's a quite nice looking ship. So what I might do, because I've got space in there, I don't think there's anything else I need. I'm going to move these gyros. Okay, so I've still got 2 spaces for other things. So how many event controllers do you have? I don't remember. Huh? Oh, yeah, what am I doing? I'm not even in that place. 6 event controllers. We're not going to need any more of them. Let's go for some timers. Okay, so we've got 27 blocks in there. All in the middle of the center of mass. And let's just, we can test that now. So let's have a look. Show center of mass. Oh, look at that. So our center of mass is bang in the middle of the ship. That is perfect. Nice and balanced. Okay. Turn that off. So we now have that. So I don't want to. You know what? One thing we're going to do first is we are going. Wait, what? Why can't I? Is that because I've got these set onto recharge? I'm confused. Why can't I control you? Huh, so when it's connected to the station, I can't control it. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to take a blueprint of this. I'm just going to try and get a nice image of it. I've also disconnected it from the base because the last time I took a blueprint, it took the entire base.
Low.
We're going to delete this dragonfly. Delete that. Delete that. I was messing around in creative with it, which is why I've got that. Okay. So we've got our little blueprint. We need to think of a name, but before we name it, I don't want to get too attached. I want to make sure I can automate its docking sequence. Okay. So we're going to put a cockpit on this. Just something that we can sit in and control it. Oh, it's so nimble. Okay. We've got 2 hours of flight power as well. First things first is we're gonna, well, actually we don't even want to do the waypoints now here, do we? Because we need to figure out where it's going to dock. So actually let's lock this. Let's put our batteries onto recharge. So if we're going with that design, let's think. So it might be nice just to have a bit of a landing pad here, just for one or more drones. So we're going to bring. How are we going to do this? It's 13. How many? So how many wide is our ship? It's just over 3 large blocks wide. Okay, so basically we're going to be creating 2. Okay, so we've got those built. We'll worry about watering that at some other point. So what I need to do now is I would like to, well, for starters, I need to get a connector. Uh-oh, I messed that up. Luckily, so I did mess that up, but because the centre of mass is right in the middle, it didn't fall, it just sat on the connector. So that is something that I need to think about on my builds. I've never really worried about centre of mass before, but if we're going to try and start doing things properly, then it's something that I do need to start considering. So if we said this was going to connect there, so I know where I need to put my connector. So I'm going to be that block. So 1, 2, 4 from the front. So if I just put you there, and then what we are going to do is we're going to put our connector here, switch lock, batteries, group them, and then we will put the batteries here to recharge on off, so I can now just turn the ship on when I want to. Okay, so we said this was going to be the connector here. So if I go connector, I already had it on my bar, never mind. So we're going to do that, and when we're doing the armoring, we're going to only arm up to this line here, so this will stick out. So that should be perfect. So let's get this welded. Okay, so now, oh, well, now I can dock the ship. So there we go. Nice and lined up. Do that. Do that. There we go. So I'm just going to put another connector here. Make sure I get the orientation right. And then I'm going to get both of them connected to the rest of the conveyor network on the base. Good morning, everyone. So I decided to work through the night, and I got a little bit carried away with the landing pads for the drones. So I don't know how I feel about the lights, I'm not sure. I might get rid of those spotlights and put them somewhere else. But this is all now welded up, it's all connected with the conveyors. I've also done these catwalks around the side. I quite like the idea of just like using catwalks to get around my base. So obviously I can get up to this one, and then that one's just down there. So I want to see if I can get this to dock comfortably with other blocks. Now, like I said, I watched that video and learned about it, which is what our dragonfly does. But I want to see if I can remember. Now we've got a much nicer drone. Can we sort it out? Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my HUD on so I can see everything. We've got most of it's my waypoints. Let's get rid of that. So if we remove that one from HUD, oh, that's it. Okay, don't know. It just feels like, oh, it's all the antennas. What we'll do is yeah, batteries. There we go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is this. We want this to land this way. It was just going to be easier than it having to worry about turning around. So if I dock this down, and then what I'm going to do is the connector, I'm going to turn off the strength, so that we're going to disable that. So now we can get right into the connector should we need to. But what I want to do is I want to record me landing here kind of directly over it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get, so I need, okay, so let's do some renaming. So the AI record task, let's call this one base landing, and this one we'll call this rig landing. We're not going to be sorting that one out yet, but we are going to be doing this one. we are going to, rather than record the waypoints, we're just going to add the waypoints manually, but I'm going to do that to my bar. So there we go. So we want the base landing, and we're going to just add waypoints. So from what I gather, and what I'm going to start doing is land on the connector, but I'm not going to add the waypoint at this point. I'm going to fly up to where it's going to land, and then I'm going to go backwards. Okay, you want this to be as smooth as possible. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the Alt key as I do this. That way there's no chance of me accidentally turning the ship. So we're going to add a waypoint, and then we're going to go forward. And then what we're going to do at this point is we're going to try our absolute best to get this as lined up as possible. Okay, so I think it's probably roughly around there. So I'll add another waypoint. It's pretty close to those lights. But now we're going to go all the way down. Oh yeah, that'll do. Okay, and I'm going to just get as tucked into the connector as possible. And then I'm going to add another waypoint. Okay, so that's that bit done. So next, rather than lock the connector, we want to trigger one of our timer blocks. So let's see if I can figure that out. So if I go for the AI base landing, and then so I can set up action on that. But no, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add another waypoint, and then I'm going to set up the action on there. And then what we're going to do is timer block. So I'm going to rename this to base landing sequence. And then we're going to put a delay of about 3 seconds. Then what I want to do is on the AI base landing on waypoint 4. Now bear in mind 3 and 4 are the same thing. All I'm hoping here is that this is going to delay things a little bit for me. But on waypoint 4 we're going to set up action, and then we're going to find our base landing sequence block, and we're going to start. Okay, and then that timer block. So if we go to base landing, set up actions. So if we go to lock the connector, and then we leave it like that, that's it. So in theory, if I was to test that now, that should lock itself. So let's just get out of here a little bit, and then let's go to my base landing, and let's play this. Yes, we need to put the move block into AI. There we go. Oh, so something that I need to do is I need to sort out the pitch, because I don't want it doing what it's doing there. This isn't going to work. Oh, it might do. Okay, no. Okay, that's fine. I know what I've done there. On the move block. So what we need to do at waypoint 1. So let's do this one thing at a time. So at waypoint 1, we want to set up action. Okay. And then what we want to do. Wait a second. Which is it? The move block that has the. So this should always have precision mode turned on, I think. Okay, no, we're going to use another timer. This is why we've got plenty of them. So let's rename this one to so base landing precision. Okay, and then we're going to set that to 1. And the reason we're doing a timer block is because you can have multiple commands, whereas if I was to try and get it just to put onto here, obviously if I set up actions it could only have 1. So we're going to set that to the timer block. So we're going to go base landing precision, and we're going to, well, we'll just trigger it because we want that to be instant. Okay, so then on the timer block, which is this one, yep, we want to set up actions, and then on the move, okay, we want precision mode on, and we also want collision avoidance off. Okay, so let's now trigger this again. Base landing. Let's see what it does. Oh, I still need to sort out the pitch because it's all over the shop. What's it doing? Okay, now it's turning. There we go. It's getting quite close to the lights. And it's going down into the connector. Okay, so that kind of worked. It's a bit all over the shop, but there's the connector locked. So on the... hang on, I'm going to unlock that for a second. So on the move block, I want to sort out this. I don't want 45-degree pitches. So let's go for like 10. Same on that as well. Minimum altitude can be 0. The speed limit, we'll leave that at that. So if I go into here and turn off the AI, is it this one? So if we're turning you off, so I can fly this around. Okay, and let's just back it up, because obviously it'll be coming from some ways away. And then what we're going to do is on the move block, just so we can test it, we're going to turn precision mode off, collision avoidance on. So when it gets to that waypoint 1, it should just switch both of those around, and we'll check that afterwards. So if we go back into the recorder and play, I've got to turn that onto AI as well, and let's just see what it does. So it shouldn't pitch as much. Okay, so far so good. It's a bit all over the shop, but that's fine, I think. So then it's going to go in. There we go, it's leveled off. Down to the connector. Time block's triggered, and there we go, that's connected. Boom. Okay, so that all works. And then if we go in here, well, let's unlock the connector. And then if we go into here and look at that move block, we can now see collision avoidance was off, precision mode on. So that's perfect. So that works. So that is now going to duck every time, he says. So the next thing we want to do is, well, one thing I learned on that video was, 1 second, let me turn this off. Okay, so it's quite slow when you're using the recorder block. What you need to do is you'll need to use the basic task block to get to the drone so close to your base. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a waypoint here. I can't remember if I can do that in the basic task. No, you can't, which is fine. Yeah, so we have to add I don't know what arrived at is. That's for the other one. Okay, so what we're going to do is create a GPS. Got home. Okay, and then what we're going to do is in the basic task, we're going to call this go home. Okay, and then this is going to be an autopilot. It's going to be one way. And then we're going to find that got home. I'm going to add that. And there it is. And then on the setup action, we want the base landing. And we want to play. Okay. So if we go over here. Obviously this is, I'm only simulating this, so Eventually I will leave this on all the time when I'm not riding it, but for now we're doing this. So now I'm going to say, okay, can you go home? Let's turn you on. So what it's going to do is it's going to get to that waypoint that we've just created, which is just there, look, got home. Once it arrives there, it will then trigger the next bit for it to land. So what we can do is we can use that waypoint for all of our ships. Although probably shouldn't do that, because if by chance you get 2 ships hitting it at the same time, you got a problem. But as you can see, it's doing its landing procedure all the way down. There we go. Boom. Now what we can do is so on one of the event controllers, one second, let's unlock this. So we're going to go for event controller, and we're going to rename this to base just connected. Okay, so the event, so if we go connector connected, okay, so this isn't going to be linked to the move block or the recorder. All this is looking at is that connector. Once it sees it's connected, it's going to do something, and we'll be able to reuse this. So we've got the connector, so we're going to add that. So when this is connected, we want it to do something. So we're going to set up actions, and we want our batteries. One second, so I don't know how this works. So I think this is when connected, when unconnected. So we want batteries on recharge. And then when it's not connected, so one second, let me go back into there. Event controller base connected. So that's going to recharge on off, and then when it's that, we're going to go recharge on off again. We can't do it twice. Why can't we do this twice? That one enabled auto. This one recharge. Oh, so that's going to recharge on off. That's going to put it back onto auto. Okay, so let's try that. Let's get the move block, turn off the AI. So let's just go all the way over here. And then what we're going to do is put the move block back on, AI behave you, and then we want you to go home. So go. So what we should hopefully see now is that once that connector is connected, the event controller will slap the batteries into recharge. And then what I don't know is if I then disconnect the connector, will it slap them back to auto? I'm not sure. What I'm not sure about is that when the batteries are in recharge, there's going to be no power going to the event controller for it to monitor that. So I'm wondering whether it's going to work at all. But there we go, look. So once the connector was locked, they went into recharge. So there's going to be no issue, because if this was off the connector and it tried to lock, it won't turn anything off because the event controller can't see it locked. So let's try unlocking the connector. Oh, perfect. As you can see, all the batteries went back into auto. So we are good, and I can probably lock this again. Perfect. Okay, so let's unlock that. Let's go to my thrusters. And let's just call this drone thrusters. Okay. And then what we'll do is in that event controller, set up actions. So we've now got our drone thruster. So if I go to page 2, and to do that, I'm just doing control and then the number. We're going to go thrusters, and we're going to toggle block off. So when it's connected, which is what we're monitoring, it's going to turn the thrusters off. And then when it's disconnected, it's going to toggle the block off. Now I can't... You can... Okay, this is a bit weird. So if I do the second slot first, so toggle them on, and then if I go here, I can do it. But if I do it the other way, it's not quite working. I don't know. I don't think I'm going mental, but who knows. Okay, so let's test this one. Turn that off. And you know what, this time we're going to take a bit of a journey over here. Oh, I love this. Look, full hole, all my thrusters, and I've still got 2 hours of power left. This is amazing. Okay, so let's just level. Well, you know what? No, let's do it like this, because it won't always be level. So we want to go to our move AI on, and can you please go home? You know what? While I'm waiting, I'm going to have a minstrel. So the drone is very slow, but we can change that. So on the move block, let's increase the speed limit to 50. Let's see what happens. Obviously it's going to go 50, but will it slow down enough to make this next bit okay? So it's going home, as you can see. But then it's got home, so now it's going to trigger the landing procedure. Okay, and then what we should see is the thrusters going off and the batteries going into recharge. There we go. So our event controller can see the connector is connected, so it's like, oh, I don't need that. And then if I disconnect the connector, perfect. There we go, all connected, all working. And that's pretty much what I learned from that video. So things to note is, don't put your important blocks onto the recorder waypoints. Instead, you want to try and implement an event controller just to avoid any mishaps. So again, we're monitoring the connector. Once that's connected, it will turn the batteries and thrusters off, otherwise it will keep them on. So if the drone was ever, and if I disconnect the move block, so if the drone was ever here because it misfired, and then the waypoint is going to try and lock that connector, but because it can't lock, the event controller won't try and turn anything off. So the drone will just end up staying here in this state, which is fine. It means it's going to protect our drone. And then also create your waypoints manually. When you're doing the connector one, make sure that you've got the magnetism setting turned off or disabled, and that way you can get right into the connector and make sure you're in the perfect place. So as days go, I would say it's been a pretty productive day today. We've made our little drone docking pads down there, which I think look quite nice. They need that. Well, they and the entire base needs a bit of a paint job because everything is very grey at the moment. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. We've still got our little dragonfly over there, but in all honesty, I think we're just going to get rid of that. That was a nice proof of concept that we could eventually get this working. But we now have this, which is a much better drone. I just need to take the cockpit off. I need to get it armored, and then I want to try and have a play. Well, I want to get another drone made at some point, and I want to get that one docking onto our docking area B. Yep, because they're both lettered. And once we've got 2 of these, then I will be happy to then start looking into some kind of vehicle that's going to go do our mining for us. And then we're going to get the drone set up so that they can dock and undock from whatever that is and carry our cargo back to our base for us. What I want to do at some point is I want to get some more turrets on this side of the base just to give us some better coverage. I will also, off camera, I'll get the drill extended so that we can start plunging this down, because I don't want to be running out of materials. It was nice being able to build the drone and not have to worry about whether we've got enough iron or not, so that was really helpful. But yeah, until next time, take care. Thanks for watching. Bye.